Mark.
Project Greenlight is an internet contest. We pick amateur screenwriters and directors and give them a chance to make their first film.
Action!
Don't worry, no pass.
Project Greenlight came out of the experience Matt, Ben, and I had on Good Will Hunting.
So how's your lady?
She's gone.
Gone where?
Med school.
A lot of people came up to us and said, well, how do we do the same thing?
We thought with the internet the way it is now, we might actually be able to give people from all over the country a chance to make their movie.
Action! We've done Project Greenlight twice already.
No, he didn't get his medal.
Miramax was nice enough to give us millions and millions of dollars, which we promptly lost for them.
It just doesn't add up.
That's the thing. It doesn't always add up.
Making your first movie is so hard. It's exhausting, it's terrifying, there are millions of dollars on the line.
Not f***ing up that bad?
The only goal right now is to make them studio happy.
And probably people would say, yeah, it's terrifying because you have to work with me.
Gentlemen. Hey. Wes. How you doing, buddy?
We've done Project Greenlight twice already, and we've done it with Miramax. We've kind of mirrored the independent filmmaking process. And what makes it different this year is that we're doing a genre film, and we're doing it with a company called Dimension, who make more commercial, traditional Hollywood movies. Dimension was started 10 years ago by Bob and Harvey Weinstein as a separate division of Miramax. And their mission was to produce high-quality genre movies with commercial potential.
In the last 10 years, Dimension's been very successful. They've particularly done well in horrors and thrillers, and the Scream franchise in particular sort of reinvented the horror genre and has probably made $1.5 billion over the last 10 years.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Dimension has enjoyed a lot of success over several different genres, both sort of commercially and critically, with movies like The Others, in the comedy genre with things like the Scary Movie franchise, Bad Santa, even in family films with things like Spy Kids. And we're continuing that mission right now with this third Project Greenlight.
The filmmakers are going to feel the pressure of making a commercial film this year. It's really about making a movie that makes a profit.
The contest phase of Project Greenlight started with thousands of bio video submissions from aspiring screenwriters and directors.
Oh, hello there.
Aloha.
My name is Bubba Kakai.
Jeff Morgan. Ian Levisser.
I'm a filmmaker. Temp secretary.
Waiter and a bartender.
I'm a professor at Georgia State University.
I manage an audio and video duplication shop.
As a directing team, Greg and I bring a lot to the table.
I'm the PGL Hunter, signing off and wishing you all a good afternoon.
The screenplays were posted on ProjectGreenlight.com, and the directors had to submit 3-minute short films, and the online community voted on them. Then the Project Greenlight team got together to narrow down the top scripts and the top directors to 3 of each. Wes Craven is a master of genre, best known for Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. Mike and Joel have done a bunch of genre pictures that a lot of people have seen. Representing the studio were Nick Phillips of Dimension, Eli Holtzman of Miramax TV, and on the phone was Andrew Rona, who is the co-president of Dimension Films.
Project Greenlight 3, they wanted something that was a little more of a commercial movie, a straightforward, Hollywood movie.
This year is really about making a movie that people are going to see. I mean, so far, we literally haven't made a nickel. If the movie doesn't make money this year, I really don't see anyone giving Project Greenlight any money to make a film ever again. My suggestion would be start with script and then go to the director.
Well, I liked Wild Card before everybody tries to throw it out.
I've written a modern noir thriller about cops, grifters, victims. It is chock full of plot.
I think Wild Card is one of the better scripts as far as the writing quality. I don't know how we could market this movie.
I'd direct that movie.
Yeah,
it's good.
so-
It's a good movie.
Andrew, do you like Feast better or Maneater?
If I had to pick between Feast and Maneater, I'd pick Feast.
What ticks me off about today's movies is the lack of ingenuity.
The story takes place in this desolate farm in Illinois, and it's descended on by these flesh-eating beasts.
Feast is just one of those things where you read it and you think, is this interesting and innovative and creative and unusual, or is it just dog shit?
I don't think you'll be able to pull it off without spending a shitload of money. You'll go down the tube financially so fast.
It's insane. There's no reason anyone could think that they can make, a theatrical genre movie for $2 million with monsters and windows breaking and things exploding and floors smashing.
I don't think we should jack Feast simply because it's too expensive. Feast, it fits the mold of what kind of movies Dimension does. I think it's a sound, commercial, fun,
As long as you guys say Dimension's willing to make Feast for $12 million, we'll put it on the list.
I think Feast has a good concept behind it. It's marketable. It's fun. It doesn't take itself seriously. I wish it could be done for cheaper because that's the one that I probably like the most right now.
I actually think Hans Guggenstein is pretty near brilliant. I'm impressed.
Hans Guggenstein is the best comedy script I think I've read since we made Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
It feels suspiciously competent.
The screenplay I wrote is called Does Anybody Here Remember When Hans Guggenstein Invented Time Travel? It is a comedy. It's a science fiction comedy.
It's an okay script, but it ain't a commercial movie that's going to make a lot of money. Because I wouldn't put it on the list anymore. It's terrible.
I think Rubenstein should stay on the list because I think it fits into all the categories.
It's terrible. I don't know what I was thinking.
We're trying to make something that's going to make money. So we have to be brutally straightforward with each other. Especially with a low budget, you have to know what you want.
Here's where you're getting into a fine line, which is the debate between something that's well executed and what can be marketed and make money. I mean, you know, so...
But that's what we were setting out to do, right? Try to make it.
I agree.
Otherwise, you'd be down the hall with Miramax again making an artsy-fartsy movie.
These guys kind of epitomize what people think of as like the old studio boss who's like, never mind the guy on the typewriter. What's on the poster? Broads with big bosoms, you know.
Yeah, so let's put up Feast and Wildcard and Hans. What? Those all the three you didn't like, Andrew?
Can we get in our time machine and go back and pick 6 more scripts?
Let's move on to the directors. The top 10 directors were given the same short film script, which they had to turn into a 3-minute film.
So, should we get down to it?
So should we get down to it?
First, tell me what you think of this.
First, tell me what you think of this.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say.
It's your opinion.
What's your opinion?
Opinion?
My opinion?
I don't know.
Why not?
Why not?
Try!
Try.
Why?
You want me to hear my top choices for directors?
Yes.
In no particular order, I like James Ryan.
What was in the package? All right. It was my Project Greenlight director submission. Everyone knows they make the directors look stupid. I want to direct movies since I was a kid, all right?
Should we get down to it?
So Ryan seems to be on almost everybody's list.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Smith?
I'm an award-winning advertising creative director. And most importantly, I'm a middle child. What's your opinion?
My opinion?
See, now that guy did drama and comedy. I think Smith could do it all.
What about Gulager? Gulager's great.
I gotta say, I really like Gulager, but he scares me.
My name is John Gulager. I live in Silver Lake, California. I'm 45 years old. I'm a cameraman and an editor, and I moonlight shooting wedding videos. Ugh. I drink a lot of coffee. I stay up all night. I go to sleep so I can wake up and drink more coffee.
I don't know what to say.
It's just an opinion.
You think?
Probably one of the more talented guys out there, but not right for this competition.
If you don't have Gulager on as the top 3 directors, you're making a big mistake. Because he's a guy that's going to bring something different, and that's what you need when you have no budget.
Let's put him on the list. I'm willing to take a shot. I'd like to see what this guy's like in person.
Right now, Andrew, we have Ryan, Smith, and Gulager circle.
Good choices. Very diverse, all smart.
Hello? So, Marshall, we're calling to tell you that we really like your script and you made the top 3.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Fantastic.
You wouldn't be screwing around with me, would you?
Absolutely we would, but we just don't happen to be doing it right now. Gulager!
Hey.
Hey, it's Ben.
What's going on?
Yeah, listen, I'm getting married again. I need somebody to shoot my wedding.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding, John. I'm kidding. You did it. You're in the top 3.
Oh. All right. Well, that's a relief.
My name is Marshall Mosley. My screenplay Wildcard was selected out of thousands, which is still hard for me to believe. I'm a 20-year veteran of the computer industry. I'm a senior manager at a software company. I wanted to write and tell stories since I can remember. It's just, the chance of a lifetime.
My name is Rick Carr, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio, where I work as a customer service rep for a printing company out there. If Hans Gubbenstein were chosen as the #1 script, I can't even really imagine how it would change my life. It's pretty good here. 33-year-old guy getting to spend a week with his mom.
I'm Marcus Dunstan, and this is Patrick Melton, and we came out here from the University of Iowa, where we met, and we live out in Los Angeles currently. We're only about a mile from where we live. Our Project Greenlight script, Feast, has made it into the top 3, so we're here to take our chances.
Gosh, I'm just nervous.
We came to the lovely Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, California, to pick the winning script. Thanks. What we had were 3 very distinct films: Feast, Wildcard, and does anybody remember that Hans Gubbenstein invented time travel? In the writer panel meetings, writers come in one at a time, sort of tell us why they wanted us to make their movie.
Walking into a room and having this kind of panel, it's got to feel incredibly nerve-wracking. I always feel for those guys in those situations.
It's kind of our chance to hear what you have to say about the script.
If it's chosen, it'll change my life. It's my shot, it's my chance, and I'm going to grab it with both hands.
Was there an inspiration for it? The idea just come from somewhere in your subconscious?
I'm a big fan of mystery novels.
Wildcard is more of an adult thriller, con man against con man kind of movie with a twist.
I was really impressed by your writing. I'll come out right out and say that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It is probably the most different in the adultness of it and the sophistication.
I think Wildcard is a very subtle, interesting script that first-time director's just not going to do a good job with, but I like the script a lot. Some of us at least felt that your script was better than the parameters that the Project Greenlight movie gets made under.
No, it's not, really. It's not, honest.
No, it's much worse.
My original concept of this was a movie about bad people doing bad things, and they have emotions and they love each other, but there's almost nobody who's nice.
You're a talented guy. You understand how to tell a story in a smart way. Wildcard was one of my original favorites. A really good director could really kill that movie.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
We all really were impressed by it.
Thank you. I couldn't have hoped to get it in front of people like you, and I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you very much for coming down.
Thanks.
I wasn't certain at all what kind of questions to anticipate. They might ask this, they might ask that, I'm not sure.
I definitely think your script is by far, of all the ones that we got, the most creative and unique.
Thank you.
How did you come up with it?
Well, I kind of had this idea about people rewriting their own existence.
Hans Gubbenstein is a comedy about what would you do if you actually could travel in time.
It's funny. It's really funny. I laughed out loud reading it.
The whole idea was that, and I think I got this from Hawking's Brief History of Time, the idea is that they've got this machine that generates this pulse, just travels so fast out into the cosmos.
Rick came across much more like he was written an episode of time travel for Star Trek than he'd written a comedy.
Theoretically, it generates a pulse, and you've got this receiver that knows how to read this backwards traveling energy.
I got it. I'm not as smart as you are, clearly. So I just, you don't strike me as a guy who was like a stand-up comedian at one point in your life. No. You keep the funny inside, don't you?
My favorite is Hans Gubbenstein. That's the movie that I think could break out.
I thought, in general, he was very smart. Interesting. I just was amazed he wasn't that funny.
Probably.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I was definitely nervous. That's a heavy room to walk into. Hi, Marcus.
So intimidated by those people, especially like Wes Craven. The nerves, I was dying.
Feast is your very straight down the middle monster movie. Unknown evil that gets loosed on a bar in the middle of nowhere.
What would you compare your script to, like in tone?
Evil Dead 2 was a remarkable influence because, you know what they had? They had like $6 and a high school gym. It was ingenuity, and I don't see that in anything these days.
I think in the first 20 pages, they introduced 20 characters, speaking characters, and at least 8 beasts. And I think it's a poor choice given the budgets that we had. I frankly didn't think it was that good of a script either. If you guys were directing the film, what would you say to whoever's going to come up with these creatures? What would you ask them to build?
What if Carrie Strug was hit by lightning? She stuck the last landing. It's when she stuck it, she was like, ah, and then she bit off Bella Caroli's head in a shocking moment, you know?
They're guys that grew up watching these kinds of movies, and it really shows in their writing.
And this was like a way to make something that's new, something that gets your attention and drives like a muscle car. And this was it. I mean, this is the type of thing where if you happen to catch the first minute at midnight, you're going to stay up until 5 in the morning if that's when it ends to watch it, because it's just a propulsive onslaught of velocity and ferocity, you know?
So what's the poster?
I sketched one out, actually.
Those guys spoke the Dimensions language. Like, this is the poster, we have the tagline, we have a trailer idea.
The last thing you see, the last thing you'll feel are teeth, and then feast. This sucker rocks. You know, I love it.
Dimension loved it. They were like, these are our kind of guys.
Once the writers were done, we sat down to talk about it.
Well, I still think Wildcard is far and away from all of them. I can see your eyes twitching.
It is a tiny bullseye. Like, if you're going after commerciality and sort of getting it, hitting it is small. And I just think twice now we've picked things that I would put in the tiny bullseye category.
Is there a mandate for this process? I mean, it's not purely about may the best script win.
It's definitely not that. Let me just say that unequivocally.
May the most commercial script win? Would that be the paradigm?
It's the what script can muster the enthusiasm of everyone who's involved in the process, and also at the studio, what film we feel we can make and market successfully.
I think that Hans Rubinstein is really creative and inventive and original and smart. It's funny. He can write comedy. I laughed my ass off. Once we started deliberating, I really was going to start trying to push for Hans, and then something went horribly awry.
There is enthusiasm at Dimension to make and market Feast, to put the company behind it.
I don't see people going to see Feast.
They're saying, our script is funny, it's campy, and it's like, yeah, Evil Dead 2 is funny and campy. Your script's not that funny and campy.
Feast is where we come out, you know what I mean? It's the movie that I think everybody can get behind at the studio.
The studio said, Feast is the movie we're prepared to make and market. Making cynically made, low-budget horror films for the purpose of making a small profit are not the reason that I got into Greenlight. I don't think it's why Ben did or Chris did either. But it's like, do you believe in Feast because you can make it for a price and you can flip it for a bigger price? Or do you believe in Feast because you really think it's the best movie?
I think it's a crowd-pleasing movie. I think if you see a movie like Cabin Fever or any of these sort of lower-budget horror movies that come out in the last 2 years, I think this movie fits that bill. And with a studio like Dimension, you sort of have to readjust the kind of movie that you make.
That's not why we got involved with Project Greenlight, to make what you know, a B horror movie. Just kind of stumble back into the Greenlight family and kind of see that this is where it had landed. Was shocking for me, you know, and infuriating, really.
There's a whole world there of low-budget horror. That's
I understand, and there's a lot of money there, too. I just don't want it, man.
I see what
want
you're
to spend my
saying.
time on that.
Feast is where we come out, you know what I mean? It's the movie that I think everybody can get behind at the studio and really make something out of it.
Nick, representing Dimension, and Bob Weinstein, who runs Dimension, felt that Feast was the only movie that Dimension could get behind.
The most miserable people I've ever met in my life in this business are the people who have made movies just because they think they're going to be financially successful, and then they're not, and all they have to show for it is like a vacuum of 6 months of their life.
Matt thought that we were compromising the artistic integrity of Project Greenlight by picking Feast. You know, I really don't agree. I think that Feast gave us our greatest chance for financial success, and that's really what Project Greenlight needs this year. Maybe I'm the sellout, but I got a lot better feeling about, you know, sort of the mainstream, mass audience, attractive people stuck with some monsters than I do Wildcard or Hans.
I've never done a movie based on fucking marketing materials, man.
No, I know you.
You know what I mean?
But at least we're going into it with an idea of how to sell the movie.
An idea of how to sell a movie that all of us admit at the end of the day, it's just kind of a goofy thing that we don't know.
Eli likes it, Nick likes it, Andrew likes it, and Bob likes it. So there's people who like it, right? There's people who...
Incidentally, all representing the studio that thinks that that's the one they can make the most money off.
I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to make a movie that makes money as long as it's good.
But what do you say to the reporters that come to us every year and go, yeah, but your movie's failed, right? They suck. Greenlight really doesn't work. Greenlight does work. Greenlight can work.
500 movies a year get made and most of them fail, you know? I mean, that's the movie business. It's a tough f***ing racket,
My
man.
God, if you can't take risks with Project Greenlight,
then where do you do it? Now, here's a question for you, Wes. Do you want to be produced?
Associated with it?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that is a problem. I certainly would probably have to work a lot harder to make it something I could stomach.
Am I the only guy who likes Sonic Boom?
No, I think it's the best choice by far.
All three of those writers showed merit in the room, but if you want to talk about a movie that has, the potential to be a hit, Feast is where we come out.
You're like sitting 2 seats away from the master of horror who is telling you it sucks.
But I'm just telling you, I just respectfully disagree.
There's a strong sense that it's kind of a fait accompli, right? I mean, we were active all the way up to this point, and now the reality sets in of what a studio put money into, and it seems that's this one.
Done deal?
There it is.
All right. Basically, we were helpless. These guys walk in with this kind of dimension, company line, which is, all right, this is the movie, and no matter how much you beat your head against the wall, nothing that was going to occur in that room was going to change what was happening.
At least the documentary will be accurate to the world of Hollywood. Everybody had something they wanted to do, and the studio did their thing, and that was that.
All right, let's bring them down here.
You move from levels of hope. I'm one of thousands that submit a screenplay. You move within touching distance of the dream.
We all thought you guys did a great job. We loved all of the scripts, and we were really impressed by them. But I think for this year's Project Greenlight, we're going to try and make Feast. We're excited about it. Congratulations.
But I could have sworn I heard the name of our script, and then upon rewinding and backing it up, I did in fact hear that, and I believe I hopped and snorted. At the late jump.
Hey,
I mean, it is the Wild West.
I didn't win to not make it at the point where I'm down to 3 and then I don't win the contest. It's very disappointing. It's very disappointing.
Thank you. You know what's going to be the hardest part is going to be all my friends, family, and everybody else that's going to come to me and say, well, that's okay. You did okay.
Oh, we got this one by the ass. We got it by the ass.
Feast will make our lives a living hell. Stunts, special effects, huge cast, very, very little time.
We didn't think that the right script was chosen, and we're going to take a director who has never made a feature film, and we're asking him to try to direct material that is substandard by everyone's admission. There are great directors who make bad movies because the script's not ready.
My name is Scott Smith. I live in Chicago, and I'm in the director competition. I'm one of 3 finalists. I would be the perfect candidate to win the Project Greenlight directing contest. It's as simple as knowing in my heart that I can make a successful movie.
The Roosevelt Hotel is a very famous hotel in Hollywood.
There were a lot of talented people who got this far up, so the fact that I got to the top 3 was, I was kind of shocked.
I don't mean to burst your bubble. Like 14 million people applied to this thing. Somebody's got to win. Hell, might even make him some money. Project Greenlight make money? I told you the kid was into drugs.
Now, does the minibar go to my card, or does it go?
Yes, it does go to your card.
What kind of contest is this? It's been a lifelong dream to, direct a movie. And so to get that opportunity would be amazing.
Filmmaking is basically the only thing, that I know how to do. I've just been raised in a film environment my whole life. Obviously, I guess I'm a bit of an outsider because I'm 46. It's a little depressing, but it's pretty exciting, too.
My parents exposed me to a lot of cinema. Fellini's probably our favorite director, my whole family.
Do you have another credit card episode?
Well, I don't think it's going to be very, useful. They didn't say one of them had to work, did they?
Things haven't been going so great for me. You know, I live in a tiny little place. It's just crammed full of stuff. Oh, it's so lonely here at the Roosevelt. Well, it'd be totally insane to get $1 million or more to work on a film. It would just be like crazy.
Well, we're coming in to pick the final director of the movie. We're down to 3.
We've told the directors what the script is. So now the directors prepare their presentations on how they would do Feast.
When it comes time to meet the panel, I'm just going to go out there and answer the questions as best I can and, try not to make an ass out of myself.
Sitting in front of the panel is going to be freaky. I may just have them turn around so I can't see their faces. Might be easier.
They picked, Feast. I kind of thought that this would be the one that they would choose. My confidence level is usually at about a 0. So we'll see what happens when I go in there.
Well, let's fire it up.
Let's do it.
Let's not keep the guys waiting. They're probably nervous.
We'll look at the directors with the idea of can they kind of get that weird sense of humor so it's scary and funny and somebody you want to spend several months with and be in the trenches with.
Directing is 2 jobs. One is leader, captain of the ship. The other one is creative, make it stand out, make it different.
This is your last opportunity to pick the right person to bring the script to life, and that's extremely important.
Hello.
Wes Craven.
See you guys. Oh, hi.
How you doing?
Hi, pleasure to meet you. They walked me in, and it was this wall of guys. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Chris and Wes Craven, and then you had all the other guys staring down at me like, all right, bring it on. So that was intimidating.
So, should we get down to it?
I thought James Ryan's scene was pretty inventive.
I think dead girls' opinions don't matter.
How he played the dialogue out, the sort of the horror movie kind of genre, which showed us that he could do that.
We're talking about a horror movie set at a roadhouse. I envision a movie where basically the audience members will be killing themselves laughing 1 minute. They'll be peeing their pants because they're so scared the next minute. And then they'll be cheering because we got them so scared that they peed their pants. I have to both give them my opinion, but also sell them on me. Finding that balance, is tough. One of the things that I think is hugely important with this movie is sound. We can create new aspects to these creatures if we hear them skittering around or we hear the sound they make. With this approach, we will scare the hell out of the audience, way more than, the person with the big budget could.
I like James Ryan. I thought he was smart. He really sold it.
And we open the door, and it's like, you have him pop his head out like a gopher. The sound's getting louder. Boom, 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 boom. One of the girls is like, cut back. Immediately we go to like a scream montage of boom, out comes the claw, and then, all hell breaks loose, So all that was done with, a grip tapping on the wall, a PA tapping on the wall would be cheaper,
That was awesome, dude.
Great.
Well done. James Ryan really wrapped his head around, I got to make this movie. And I thought he was pretty good.
I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. I might be, a wreck when they announce somebody else's name. But for the time being, so far so good.
Hi. Hey. I'm about to give my director's presentation to the panel. I'm a little nervous right now.
Should we get down to it?
Scott's scene was really funny and really entertaining. The moment with the booger in the dentist's nose is very well done and sort of horrifying to sit through. It definitely shows that he's much more predisposed to do comedy than he is horror.
The vision I want to start off with is with the tone. I don't think it should be horror or comedy. It should be like a horror-com or a horror-y. I think
I like Scott. I think his background in advertising really comes through. I think he's very good at articulating his vision.
Next thing I want to speak about is the creatures.
What do they kind of look like in your mind?
I mean, their teeth can really make them totally menacing, and the way they chew should have a distinct sound.
And do you see the heads as the actor underneath with a big head on top? So you end up with a mechanical head and a stunt head, and then you have your actor underneath looking straight down, so you can't run very well. It gets very complicated.
Yeah. Well, I haven't thought about that part.
He's a funny guy, and he wanted to make it funnier, and he wanted to do kind of funny, neat things.
For instance, like I was thinking you could have a death scorecard of how many they've killed, how many we've killed. And again, doing this thing where it doesn't take yourself too seriously, it allows you to do stuff we wouldn't normally be able to do.
Scott had really good ideas that would actually make the movie a better movie. It would improve what was there.
That is my presentation. I'm happy to be done, because there's a lot of preparation, a lot of work and stuff like that. It's just a matter of them deciding.
I would say that, you know, James Ryan has done a good job of sort of feeling the most, in my opinion, director-ish, the most ready to sort of jump on to this kind of project. And Scott's much more, I think, leader, going to get it done, you know it's going to work out. Not quite sure where he is vision-wise. And I think Gulager is still the wild card because we still think he's probably the most talented director. A little sketchy on whether the leader part's going to work out. So I'm really rooting for him in the meeting tonight to come through and really, you know, show us that he's ready to, you know, take charge of this project.
Hey.
I really felt that John was the right person to make the movie based on his shorts. I really felt like he was more ready to do this movie than the other two.
John's scene was really good. John had great camera angles. The lighting's good. It definitely looked like a much more talented director's sort of piece. Particularly the scene where they shoot the neighbor downstairs. It's really well done.
Fire up, fire away. Only seen your...
All right, well, I mean, you picked the script I wanted to do, you know, first off. So, a little nervous. I'm a horrible salesman when I had to sell myself.
Why was it about this movie as opposed to the other two that you wanted to direct this one?
I just wanted to make a monster movie. I just want to make monsters jumping in and grabbing people. I dig that kind of stuff. My friend Charlie from New York flew in. He brought this painting to me, and I've just been kind of get some inspiration from this. And so I thought I'd bring this, and you know, I kind of been sort of staring at it and stuff like that. But this is tougher than I thought it was going to be.
He's kind of circumspect and quiet and a little bit idiosyncratic, just showing the painting of the weird topless female golem creatures in blood red with the black background. It doesn't play to people in a business where they're used to being schmoozed and hustled, you know, just spook people.
If you had to describe to your art department or special effects person what to make for you, insofar as the creatures go.
Well, I grew up with man-in-a-suit monsters, and I know that that's kind of maybe out of fashion and stuff like that, but, well, certainly like Creature from the Black Lagoon and, you know, King Kong versus Godzilla and stuff like that, you know. And,
I'm worried about communication, getting across what movie he really wants to make.
I want to make something scary, though, but...
I know a lot of directors, some of them are very good at talking about movies, and some of them aren't. But they're all really good at making them.
This guy, Raheem, taught me.
John Gulager's presentation was less than impressive. He's not a particularly articulate person.
Or a drop of water, you need some scary special effects, you know.
Ah, that's
You know.
good.
Well, does anybody have anything else for John?
It's kind of a bust, you know. I actually got really nervous this time. You know, I think the nervousness comes from not being prepared. But it's really hard telling someone to pick you. How do you do that, man? I'm sure there's people that are pretty good at that, but are they going to make a good movie? I don't know.
Since there weren't any deliberations on the actual script side of it, you know, I think we all felt semi-righteous in terms of having our voices heard when it came to the director.
Just based on their work, Gulager was probably my first choice.
Are you insane? Did you see him do his face thing?
But I think Gulager's the biggest kind of home run swing where it could turn out to be a debacle, but he could give you something really, really interesting that the other two guys are not likely to deliver.
I think the safe bet is to go with Ryan, and I think it's, you know, sort of where we are in the project we've put together. But I've always liked Gulager. I fought to keep him on the list every time.
Ryan came in with a really sort of honed pitch. Gulager, he walked out of the room. I was almost more confused than when he walked in.
He's like a wild card. He really
He's a bit of a wild card. That's one of the reasons I like him.
Like dressed up in a pink tutu. I mean, he is completely crazy choice.
So we have Gulager, Ryan, Gulager.
Strangely enough, it became an immediate two-camp system of Ryan or Gulager. I think everybody liked Scott Smith and respected him. I just think in the end, it really came down to those two guys, because what you're getting with those guys is two different versions of the same script, both interesting, but both really different.
Everything that I've heard about what you guys liked about the script, you're not going to get from Gulager. Gulager is something that you had to make it blow up in your face.
Well, he's going to be an amazingly difficult guy to produce for. There's no question about it.
All the producerial type people who thought they were going to have to work with him day to day didn't want John, because I think they just thought he's just going to make my life harder.
I don't see him moving quickly. I think he'd be very quirky. And
I back Wes in that I do think Gulager somewhat lives in his own world.
If he misses, he's going to look bad missing, real bad. You know what I mean? But if he gets it, it could be like the weirdest, coolest movie you've seen in a while.
I feel like it's a very ambitious gamble.
And you think James Ryan would be the best director?
He's the only guy that came in here and did a great job pitching his movie.
I think Ryan, to make a safe bet, would probably come up with an interesting movie, but maybe nothing that goes beneath 2 or 3 inches down. Or Gulager, and he'll go 10 feet down, but may only get 2 scenes in a week, you know?
Give him a script that he can direct.
That's also a big problem.
So now you're just saying we took the worst script, so we should just get the worst director?
I don't think we picked the worst script, but I think we have some serious script issues, that's for sure. I mean, definitely, there's work to be done, and we got to figure out which one of these guys is going to help guide these writers.
There's a version that James Ryan can do where we got a shot to hit a double, make $5 million. Gulager just worries me because we got a shot to make $100,000 again, you know, and walk away and do nothing.
We're not only are we risking shooting ourselves in the foot, we're targeting it.
I disagree. I think to a certain degree, we've sealed our fate based on the script that we chose. And the best chance we have at salvaging that is by going with the best director.
If you're betting, you don't bet on that horse.
Unless you're betting the trifecta. See, there's some people who bet, like, to show, right? And then there's some people who bet the trifecta with their $2. And sometimes those guys win $1,000.
And a lot of times those guys live in their car.
We debated for hours until we finally chose our director for Feast.
So,
that's that.
Coming up on Project Greenlight.
Tonight's the final party where they make the big announcement.
Winning this contest can change their lives.
The winner is...
So tonight's the final party where they make the big announcement. I feel like I have a good shot.
However it ends up, it's still a huge opportunity, and it means a lot.
This might be one of my last chances to make a real film.
I think they're freaking out. They've got the belief, and rightfully so, that winning this contest can change their lives.
You find yourself in a situation where 1 of 3 people are going to direct a movie. I mean, you know, the stakes are huge.
Can't help but be nervous about the announcement. I've kind of come to a bit of a nihilistic conclusion that I'm not going to be the one that's picked. But at the same time, you always hold out this hope. You just can't help it.
Before we announce the directors who won, we want to talk a little bit about the director contest. Now, basically what we did was we gave these directors a kind of nonsensical scene, essentially. And we asked them to put together some kind of a coherent story from it. So this is the script they got, and they had to shoot this script.
So, should we get down to it?
So, should we get down to it?
Should we get down to it?
Should we get down to it?
First, tell me what you think of this.
Tell me what you think of this. What you think of this?
Tell me what you think of this.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Try.
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 It's just an opinion.
It's just an opinion.
It's just an opinion.
Just an opinion.
You think? You think?
You think? You think?
I do want to add that, all three of these people, these guys are really, really talented. They're all worthy of further work in the field of cinema. The winner is John Gulager.
Okay, well, the joke's on me, because I called everyone last night and told them I lost. And so I'm actually pretty shocked. Well, I guess we'll have to make a scary, funny-as-ass movie, I guess.
Gulager gave probably the worst job interview anyone's ever given who actually got the job.
Hey, Tom. Yeah. I won. Yeah.
You have to go with talent. That's what this whole thing's about. It's about finding the most talented people and giving them a chance to make a movie. He's the most talented guy.
I voted for him as the director because I honestly think that's the best chance this movie has to be good. And if John does a good job with the movie, I mean, it's going to be obviously huge for his career.
This would have to be the biggest opportunity I've ever had. No one ever sees my stuff. It's kind of a fluke that I'm here.
It was disappointing. I would have been thrilled if they called my name, though. So, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know what I want to do, and it would have helped to win it, to get it done more immediate. But I'm still, gonna pursue directing.
You were brilliant in your ability to say nothing.
One of John Gulager's friends came up to me in the party and shared some thoughts and some concerns. I guess he throws great temper tantrums, and sometimes he's tough to get out of the bathtub to come to set. But everything that I feared about Gulager, I think is going to come true. That's what I got out of the conversation I had with his buddy.
Let's get one shot here of us smiling together, because this may never happen again.
It's the absolute oddest, most ridiculous choice we've ever made for any, forget director, any film crew person or anything we've ever been involved in.
Everything is good right now. I just want to know when I have to come to work.
Life is pretty doggone great. I know they're thinking they're gonna stress us out and say, oh, you gotta cut everything, you're gonna lose this. No, we've done the hardest part. I mean, we lived through tonight. This is great. Everything else is pure slip and slide. That's it. There you go.
Next week on Project Greenlight.
Right now, the script is too many things.
I haven't heard from John what the tone of the movie is.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Well, you're the director,
Honestly, John, there's some things about you that we were very concerned about.
Andrew said some things about, not having total faith. It kind of hurts a little bit.
I think the script is extremely flawed. We're going to do whatever it takes to make a good movie. So if we have to have the script rewritten by somebody else, we will do it.
It was a reality check. The fun and games is over.
Ultimately, all that matters is how good the movie is, not how many writers wrote it. This could be the first step in your very successful film career, or it could be a failure and you guys will be a joke.